and welcome to Cox Local Edition on CNN Headline News. I'm Catherine Falk with Cox Communications. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're honored to have the Superintendent of Fairfax County Public Schools, Jack Dale, join us today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks very much.
So how are things with the Fairfax County Public Schools? I know that you've been facing a very difficult economic time.
Yeah, the school year is actually going really well. Kids are doing a great job. Teachers are phenomenal. Parents, of course, usually keep the pressure on the kids to do well. So the school system is really doing well. What we're involved in, of course, is fiscal planning for subsequent school years, which is, it's really pretty grim. Even though we have had the economic stimulus package that the federal government passed a year ago helped us this year and a little next year. In Fairfax's case, it was about $50 million, but it'll be gone the following year. Meantime, I'm losing state revenue, our enrollment's growing, and we just can't keep up with some of the mandatory contributions to health benefits, retirement systems. We'll probably have to freeze everybody's pay again, so it's pretty grim on that side.
So what's the magnitude of the gap that you're going to be facing for next year?
For next year, we're looking at somewhere around $160 to $170 million, which is a huge dollar amount. This is on top of $100 million in real cuts that we took this past year. So now we're starting to cut into the core of Fairfax. And as you listen to our citizens, both parents as well as non-parents, they're very concerned with to not diminish the quality of public schools in Fairfax County. And so there's quite an effort on some of those people's part to ask the Board of Supervisors to make sure that the schools don't have to take those kinds of cuts.
And the school system really is the jewel of Fairfax County. It's what makes everything so special here.
I'm biased, yes. As you talk with Jerry Gordon from the Economic Development Authority, he uses the school system as a recruitment tool when he's trying to recruit businesses. And we've had 4 of them come in just in the last year and a half or so who want to locate in Fairfax. And the number one reason is quality of life and quality of school system, because the quality of school system creates high quality of life for people.
So how will you go about this process of determining what cuts will make up that $150 million?
Yeah, it's very difficult. What we've done was a series of town meetings with our parents and non-parents, people looking at different things on the list, none of which are pretty, which is why some of the shift has said, now let's take a look at maybe increasing taxes to support the public schools, which I think is actually the best alternative, because otherwise we're going to get into diminishing the quality of the jewel of Fairfax County Public Schools. But we have a very open, transparent process and people debating some of the things that we should be taking a look at. There'll be some things that, like our summer school program, some of our foreign language programs, that'll take a pretty big hit. Like we probably will not offer summer school. We'll have to increase class sizes. But some of the things that on the edge which make Fairfax is, for example, our elementary instrumental music program, both band and strings. And if we don't get enough revenue, we'll have to potentially cut that. And I don't think people will be happy if that occurs.
And then how long does this problem go on? This is a multi-year problem, right?
Yeah, we're looking at with the county on the fiscal forecast and the out years, and some people would suggest our property values are not going to begin to recover for at least another 1, if not 2 years. So this, not only the big cut this year that we have to do, we're planning for next year, I should say, and then the following year I'll lose the federal stimulus money, another $50 million, plus I'm sure uncontrollable expenses with energy costs and fuel and electricity, et cetera. So I'm going to be facing this probably for, I would say, at least 2 more fiscal years, maybe even 3, before we can begin a recovery. And if it's a slow recovery, it'll be a long time to restore some of these programs, which is why we have to be extremely thoughtful right now about what it is we choose to cut, because it may be 3 or 4 years before we would contemplate being able to bring it back. And that's critical for Fairfax.
Right. And how can our viewers learn more about what's going on in the school system?
FCPS.edu, and then from there you can get information on grading policies, flu, pandemics, and of course budget.
Thank you so much for being here, Jack
Thanks
Dale.
very much.
And thank you for joining us on Cox Local Edition on CNN Headline News. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you.